David Brewster here with a new episode of 3 for All. This is 3 Mike Oldfield Licks from 1981, and I've had some requests to feature some of Mike's music. Definitely a legendary composer and guitarist, and Mike's career extends back. It started somewhere around 1967, and since that time he's released 26 studio albums, 1 live album, 14 compilations, and various soundtracks, so we're going to talk about that too. And interesting musician, definitely a guitarist. He's a multi-instrumentalist, he plays guitar and bass, keyboards, he sings. Also plays percussion too. A great overlooked musician. And we're going to talk about his history and stuff before we dive into the licks. But anyway, here we go. So most people view Mike Oldfield as a composer, specifically, soundtracks for films and television. And he has released and done, some soundtrack work. The Killing Fields, he basically did that soundtrack. A space documentary called The Space Movie. Episodes of the X-Files, feature some of his music. But definitely his claim to fame is, when he released Tubular Bells in 1973. Music from that album was featured in the movie The Exorcist in 1973. And it won an Academy Award, like Best Instrumental Composition or something like that. But that's where most people associate or think of Mike Oldfield related to The Exorcist. The licks and ideas in this episode actually came from a live performance in 1981, and Mike was performing the song Platinum, which came from the album by the same name. And before he started the song, he actually did this kind of unaccompanied solo. Well, there was synth and stuff behind him, and he was just kind of playing along with the synth. But it was really interesting because he was kind of playing variations of melodies from the song, and it was kind of like a guitar solo, basically. But it's all played fingerstyle, so there's no pick used in this episode. And also the licks and phrases are really atmospheric and kind of dreamlike. So it's really interesting. We haven't really done anything like this before. So if you're looking to kind of, break out of some kind of habits and things that you typically like to do, this episode will blow your doors open because it's definitely very different and forward-thinking and almost experimental. So anyway, here we go. Alright, the first lick's going to set the tone for this entire lesson. It's this really dreamy E-flat minor 7 arpeggio spelled out. And Mike was playing over a synth, kind of a sustained synth pad. And I don't have a synth here, so I actually took my bass, tuned the low E to E-flat, and I'm going to use the MXR clone looper to help me out here. So it's just going to sustain this bass, playing an E-flat like this, and then I'm going to play the first lick on top of it. So lick 1 is like this. One more time. So it's just an E-flat minor 7 arpeggio spelled out. So he does this lazy slide into that E-flat on the D string like that. And then he's literally walking up the arpeggio and then does a hammer-on pull-off right there, and then go back down. Something like that. And also notice we're finger picking. So I'm kind of using my thumb on the D string, index on the G, and my middle finger on the B like that. Okay, lick number 2 is something like this. One more time. So once again, this really atmospheric, kind of dreamy sound. And he starts on this higher E-flat here, and then comes down with these pull-offs. Like that. So there he's grabbing that F note, and here he's grabbing that D flat, right? And then when you get down to this lower E flat, then you're going to jump to the B string there on that B flat, and then you're going to grab that D flat and bend it. Something like that. So the first half. One more time. So after you do the bend and release, you're going to basically grab this B flat and that A flat, like that, and kind of go back and forth. And then this A flat to B flat right there on the A string. And you'll notice like Mike keeps doing this like really lazy hammer on at certain times in these licks. And there's one right there because he's doing this so he kind of takes his time, on the A flat and then finally hammers onto that B flat. So it's all phrased like in a really interesting way, like this. One more time. The next lick's the next phrase from the song, and it definitely reminds me of Jeff Beck, but check this out. One more time. So right there, we're basically starting with the hammer on, the A flat to B flat. And then you hear this ascending but descending sequence, and this is the part that reminds me of Jeff Beck. You can hear this same sequence in Where Were You? But he does the hammer on A flat to B flat, and then he starts descending, E flat to D flat, and then A flat to G flat, like that. So after you do the descending part, well, you're ascending but also descending. Then you're going to jump up and grab E flat and come down E flat, D flat, C to B flat. Like that. And then right there, he does the B flat, catches that D flat, and then comes down like a D flat 5, like, arpeggio. Right, like that. And then he grabs E flat with some vibrato. Then he spaces out G flat and B flat. And then he does kind of a variation of the first lick. That E flat minor 7 arpeggio, like that. So really slow. Something like that. Here's a bonus lick from this footage, and it's the next phrase from the solo. And there's two parts to notice in this this idea. Notice the vibrato on the bend in the middle, and also the vibrato on the very last note. It's very different. I'm actually going to try to recreate, what Mike did, but during the footage, like when you see him play it, check out that vibrato on that last note. That's really unusual. But something like this. It's like really aggressive at the end. One more time. So you're basically starting on that high E flat and then coming down like that. And then at the end of that phrase, you're literally coming down and you're going to grab that A flat and bend it kind of erratically. Like the vibrato is kind of erratic. And then you're going to basically start catching this F note. And you're catching that F to go to E flat right there. Grab that D flat. And then at the end, it's A flat to B flat again. But he's doing like classical vibrato, like the nut to the bridge kind of movement, like that. Instead of going like toward the floor, he's going this way, which is really unusual. Something like that. Really interesting phrasing here. Alright, that's going to wrap this episode of 3 for All with 3 Mike Oldfield licks from 1981. Definitely a great composer and guitarist and musician. Like I mentioned at the beginning, he's a multi-instrumentalist, so he does a lot more than just play the guitar. But when I saw this footage, from 81, and I saw the way he was playing and the licks and phrasing and everything, I just grabbed it and I was like, yeah, I think I want to hit this. And I technically just posted a video yesterday, and then today I got up and I thought, you know what, let's go ahead and do Mike Oldfield. Why not? So anyway, leave some feedback and comments. Please subscribe to my lessons, and I'll be back before you know with more content and material. Thank you.